Hello, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do a market recap of my revisiting of my most successful market ever, the Raleigh Lunar New Year market. This market took place just yesterday, the 7th of February, and I did this market last year and had record sales, and it was the first time that I really felt confidence in my crochet plushie business. So I just went to this market yesterday. I have all of the results and details to share. Grab a beverage, get cozy, grab a project to work on, and we're going to take you through the market day and what sold, what didn't, and my overall thoughts and impressions, and let's see how it stacked up to last year. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning friend, welcome back. I'm Christine, and this is my cozy little space where I talk about my crochet plushie business and my online business for crochet tools and accessories like amigurumi sticks, stitch markers, safety eyes, installers, and so much more. Today, I wanted to share the details about the Lunar New Year market that I just participated in this last weekend in Raleigh, North Carolina, and talk a little bit about the event day itself, share some event footage, and then go into the details of the numbers, what items were a hit, what items I was surprised did not move as much as I thought they would, and just other fun facts about the event and the market itself. I'll give some details about how the market went compared to last year's event, which was such an incredible event that this one really had a lot to kind of live up to. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the footage from the market itself. I have some fun time lapses, I have some customer interactions, and just overall views of the booth itself. Sorry.
Reality's boring.
Did some shopping. It's Honey Press. It's 2 o'clock. It's pretty loud in here, so I haven't really done a lot of filming. And it's also been a pretty steady stream throughout the day, so yeah, excited to see how it all goes. I've sold out of my sushi cats. I'm making another one, but this one's already been claimed. And sold some big items. Sold the fire horse from the Snuggle Beans crochet pattern. Ludo and William the Worm went to the same person who saw it, who made a beeline, and was like, I'm getting these, I must have them. So that was very exciting. We had a nice little labyrinth chat for a bit. So I have you back. Hi there. How are you?
Good.
Nice. How's your day going?
Good. Very good. Okay, I'm gonna
Y'all
try
set?
this one, I think.
Okay. Little pineapple.
Yeah, it's for my brother-in-law's birthday, so and he
Oh,
always
fun.
say like that. So I asked my kid, "Do you think that is the nugget or is the pineapple?" And he said, "No, he's the pineapple."
Yeah.
He's more of a pineapple.
I like the pineapple. $10.73. You can tap when you're ready.
Yes.
Would you like a bag?
Yes, please. Or you have something to hold it because from here I'm gonna take it from here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna-
Would you like a receipt?
Yeah, I got it here. No
Okay.
worries.
Thank you very much.
This
Have a
is
good
how
day.
I can follow you.
Yes, yeah. If you just like tap the top of your phone to it. It should just be.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
Mira, para más visto. Solamente como poniéndole el tap, ya jaló. This is like
Yeah, it can be Instagram, YouTube, or my website.
I can use my. But this is really awesome.
Phone, Apple Watch,
No,
whatever.
It's not a watch. It's a,
I think it should
it's
work.
an Android.
No, I think it works. It should work with all devices.
Pero abre el teléfono. Yeah, I'm already following you.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Can I say yes?
You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been knitting for years and years, but I just started crocheting.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Someone asked me earlier, they're like, what is
I've
this?
seen people like on Instagram
I
and stuff with them hanging out.
didn't bring my own, and I was like, do I like pull one from there to use it? I know. I love them. Yeah. And when you're putting your yarn on it, you can either just like unclip this part and then slide it over that, or you can unthread that if it's like a tight ball. So. All right. Yep. Oh, and would you like a bag?
I can just put it in my bag.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right, $20.92. You can tap when you're ready. And I have my full, like, I have a ton of supplies for crocheters, knitters, all that stuff on my website. So
Let me see. Tap it.
going into the last hour, I'm almost done with the sushi cat. It's just every time I've kind of gotten the groove, I've had a customer. So good problem to have. But the cat itself is done. The tray is in one of my bins, so that will be a future me problem. And I'm working on the seaweed. But yeah, it's been pretty steady. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like it's been a good day. This event is supposed to be an outdoor market. It is located at Raleigh Ironworks, which is a kind of outdoor, it's not quite a shopping area just yet. Like there's a few stores, but it's really just a handful. I'd say it's more of kind of a community space. There's like a brewery, there are a couple of restaurants, a couple of shops, and I think that there's maybe some housing, like condos that are being built or apartments, and then office spaces. But it is in an area of Raleigh that is fairly easy to get to from some of the major points within the city. And I think they do a really good job of drawing people in with having regular like events on the street. Every market I've done at Raleigh Ironworks, and I've done quite a few markets now, close to probably a dozen at this point. It is always well attended. There's lots of foot traffic, and I don't think it's people who necessarily are coming specifically for the event itself, but they're like, oh, there's probably an event there or something along those lines, because there's always just a really great crowd that shows up at the Raleigh Ironworks. So this event was no different. Last year, the Lunar New Year market was an outdoor tented market. Vendors brought their 10 by 10 tents. There's food trucks, there's entertainment. And this year the plan was the same. However, as we got closer to the event, the weather was not looking great. We have had a couple of weekends now with snow, sleet, ice, and Raleigh does not handle that well. This upcoming weekend, thankfully, was going to have none of those things, which was great. However, it was going to have really cold temperatures in the 30s and very windy. All of the events that were going on within the area, within much of North Carolina, were kind of dealing with those same conditions. I know there were events in Charlotte that were taking place where some vendors had to back out of them because it just wasn't going to be safe to drive to them with the high wind advisories and carrying all of your materials and gear and stuff like that. So this one was forecasted to have high winds, and as it got closer to the event organizer originally decided that this would be a tentless event, so you would just have your 10 by 10 space, but you could not bring a tent. And then ultimately they moved the event inside. I have done a couple of events now inside at Raleigh Ironworks as well. They have, I think, what is probably a retail storefront space that just has not been inhabited yet. And so when there are events that have to be moved inside, that's where they go. It is just kind of like the foundations of a space. So there's just some posts, concrete on the floor, nothing fancy. It does protect you from the elements, and this time the temperature control seemed more in check. Previously, when I've been in there, it's been very crowded and very stuffy, and they didn't seem to have like air conditioning or anything. I don't know if it's just they had all the doors open and it was freezing cold outside, so they didn't even need to heat the place because it was just like body heat of everyone and everything. So it was actually very comfortable in the building for this event. So I got there shortly after 9 to set up my space. Outside, it was just going to be one row of vendors. Raleigh Ironworks, sometimes they will do two like vendors across from each other on the street, and the street can get pretty congested in those instances, or they will spread so far into the street that it like wraps around into little like pockets. This one, it was just going to be one row of vendors, straight line down the street, which would have had a ton of walking space. But with that, I had a good spot. It wasn't a corner or anything because there's only going to be a couple of corner spots with one long row. But indoors, I was fortunate to be put in a corner spot within the front row. So right when you walked in, my booth was like corner to the right. You could see it from the get-go. When they sent out the list of vendors, they usually sent it the night before. They actually sent it a couple of days before. There was one vendor name that I recognized, and I've spoken about them in the past, so I'm not going to go into that again, but they are another crochet vendor that has a mass market feel to them. But there was another crochet vendor that I was able to like identify either by the name, or I think I just looked them up because I was like, that sounds like crochet, and they were. So I knew that it was going to be myself and at least two others. On the event day, it turned out there was one other fully crochet booth, and then there was a booth that had like a table of crochet stuff. I'm not a fan of that because I know this market organizer is very strict about what you can bring and what you cannot bring, because they want to make sure that there isn't like oversaturation of a product type. So I don't know if that just slipped through the cracks or what, but there was quite a bit of crochet at this market. Last year, I was the only sole crocheter. There was another vendor last year that had like artwork and a very delicate, fine like crochet plants, and not, from what I could tell, of the mass market variety. I did not see them there this time. But I think that my success of last year was because I was the only crocheter. And so I wasn't having to like spread out the crochet items throughout the market. But it turned out there were 4 crocheters plus a vendor with quite a bit of crochet stuff. So I definitely think that impacted my sales this time. I did introduce myself to the other crocheter that I had looked up ahead of time. They were lovely. They had some really cute plushies, and it was just nice to meet them because I feel like I've done enough markets now in the area that I've met a large majority of the other crocheters. And with that, I'd say 99% of them have been very friendly and lovely. And I actually have like some group chats with a few of them, and we try to get together and, you know, hang out and talk crochet or actually crochet. So it's nice to meet another crocheter like that, and I hope that this one had a successful market as well. But I did have the best spot, I think, of all of the crocheters. Maybe that other one did have a really good spot, but beyond that, there were a lot of new to me vendors, and maybe they were there last year, I just didn't see them, but there were some really cool jewelry places. There was a lot of fun art, both cute like doodles and drawings and characters, but then also like fine art. So it was just a really fun market to just shop and attend within itself. Being indoors helped, I think, to bring people out that otherwise would have like probably avoided the market because it was so windy and cold outside. But it also was kind of hard to get into the building. There were several points where I had left to like go grab food or go watch like the dragon dancers, and you had to like wait in line to get in because so many people were leaving and there was just the one door and it was just a surge of people. And then like finally people could come in and then you'd have to wait again. So the traffic flow was a little tough from that, but it was very well attended. And I think that that was just a problem that was a result of like how many people were there. So I got there at 9-ish for my setup. The market started at 11. It went until 4. And I did have some new display pieces for my booth this time. I got some tabletop displays from Etsy that were like wooden shelves and kind of cloud shapes and squiggly shapes. And they actually came from Turkey. And I will share the details of the Etsy shop that I got them from. I would definitely recommend their shop. They did a fantastic job. The quality of the display pieces was beautiful and very high quality. Shipping was ridiculously fast. It amazes me how fast things come over here from Turkey, because I also order my Elise Veludo yarn and it comes within the week of me ordering it typically. So I made the debut of these tabletop pieces at this market. I had hoped to do a test run of it at home prior to the market, but that just didn't happen. But I had an idea in my head of like kind of how I wanted to set them up. I wanted to have one that was kind of themed with like characters and then another that would have smaller items and so on. So I had that in mind. And then I had my 2 collapsible shelving units. And then I had my 1 like grid wall. For the grid wall, wanted to have my dedicated like space for crochet tools and like supplies for crocheters. But then I had so many drink sleeves that I knew I was just gonna have bins of drink sleeves. And I did some drink sleeves like special for this of Lucky Cats, the Chinese lanterns. And I had a lot of those. So I just wanted to like get as many of my drink sleeves out. I also raised the price of my drink sleeves. I had previously been selling them for $6 and that was like eking through on being profitable. So I raised them to 7. Between the cost of the felties that I use, they come out to almost $2, especially like I cannot always buy them in quantities that help spread out the shipping cost. There's always shipping. Like there's no free shipping codes or anything from the supplier that I get them from. And I really like the supplier I get them from. She has great design. She's great at customizing designs. But like the cost of a pack of 4 felties, and if you're just getting 3 or 4 packs with the shipping, it comes out to like $2 a felty. And to then put in my time and the yarn at $6, it was not great. So I moved it to 7. It did not seem to impact the sales of them at $7. And I previously had 2 for 10. I did do 2 for 12 with the new $7 price tag. And I think that it went well overall. I didn't previously have a ton of people that would take advantage of the 2 for price. And I probably had the same amount of people that did it this time too. So I'm happy that I moved it to $7 per drink sleeve. They were definitely well received. It drew people over. There was constantly a crowd around that like grid wall looking at it. My spinners with swing buddies, normally I can fill a spinner with just regular swing buddies, no problem, but I thought I had a decent amount prepared and I really did not. So my swing display was looking a little sparse. I had planned on hanging lanterns from the top of my tent, but since there was no tent, that could not happen. And the lanterns were kind of like dragging on the spinner. So I couldn't even really fill them up with those, but it was fine. It was what it was. And it was really the only way I had to display those things because my grid wall was already full of other items. So I had that. And then I have a bucket display. It's like a tower with like 4 plastic buckets. I have previously also put my positive potatoes, pickles, fine apples within one of those buckets, my fidget pops, and then sometimes I do mystery boxes or whatever within the buckets. So this time I decided to do the buckets as my mystery boxes. I did one bucket at the top and then the very bottom one with like overflow, because I had a decent quantity of them and because I feel like people really do get kind of lured into the idea of a mystery box. On top of that, I made little takeout boxes with bag charms of little bows, fortune cookies, dumplings, things like that. So I put those in one bin because I didn't have a great way of displaying them otherwise. And I didn't have a sign like I had hoped to. I just completely forgot. And I wanted people to be able to like kind of see it from the get-go and understand what it was. And then finally I had the fidget pops and all of that stuff in one of the buckets. So all 4 buckets were taken up. So I wasn't able to put the positive items in there, and I put them in like a different tiered bin that I had by the Swing Buddy, since those also are usually a draw. Aside from that, the shelving unit that I had that was closest to like the aisleway, I put a lot of the Lunar New Year specific items that I had made for this market. And I think that, you know, overall, a lot of my setups were great for being like eye-catching as people walked by. My shelves felt a little sparse from how they typically are, but I think part of that, I had done a ton of prep for this market, but I left like a whole bag of plushies at home because it didn't feel like it was cohesive enough to pull into my booth space, knowing that my booth can be very crowded and I think overwhelming at times, and I wanted to avoid that. But also because I was doing this new barcode setup and I switched over to Shopify, I just didn't have time to upload everything, especially from like an individual onesie twosie item perspective, into my new point of sale. So I think that streamlined things a little bit. I don't know that it necessarily hurt me because, again, it wasn't stuff that was like part of a theme or anything. Like they were really just kind of standalone items. But like once I was done setting up, I was like, wow, like it's not as full as it normally is in here. So there was that. But I can see, especially with the fact that I'll normally be in a tent, my space evolving throughout this year. But generally, I actually kind of liked that it wasn't so crowded and overwhelming. And then as stuff was selling, I kind of moved things around and I got more ideas from that. So another thing to call out about what I brought to the market, I did bring some of my embroidery kits that I have just started stocking in my online store. So those are purchased wholesale, and they're like kind of beginner embroidery needlework craft kits. And I felt like it tied into the like whimsical crafts and just this idea of being able to do more like slow granny hobbies. I also brought a couple of the clay kits that I just introduced, and those were actually, I think, more well received than I thought that they would be. Just I saw more people checking them out and looking into them, and at times carrying them around. Maybe not always buying them, but we'll get into that. And then finally, I brought a small display of stickers that was mostly related to like either items I was selling, so like a wizard frog and cowboy cat, stuff like that, and then also you know, crafty stickers. So I had a small display that I did for that, and that was of course a kind of last minute ad where I made a 3D printed display for it the night before, because why not? So yeah, that's kind of the details behind the booth itself. But let's start to get into the numbers. And I will give the disclaimer that now that I'm on Shopify, I'm not familiar with their reporting system, and I dug around on I was too stubborn to like Google how to find it, because I was like, surely I can find this on my own. So I was able to pull some reports, but like it required a lot more manual effort on my end, and then I ultimately had to like pull it into a spreadsheet myself and tinker with it that way. So I will try to edit this to make this as clean as possible when it comes down to it, but apologies in advance, because like my reporting is different than I normally see it when I was doing Square. That being said, I do feel like I have a lot more transparency into my reporting than I did with Square. So that is definitely a plus. Like, it broke down tax into each bucket of the various tax types that I pay, which Square was like, here's North Carolina tax. And this is like, here's this county and this transit tax. And like, this is phenomenal. But anyways, we don't need to get into that. If you want to hear more about my change from Square to Shopify, I'm happy to do that in a future video. And then as I'm talking through some of these, I'll share some of the details about those transactions too, because there were definitely some like fun transactions that happened. Going from lowest dollar value to highest, the Hot Girls Have Grandma Hobby sticker, again, that can be found on my shop, whatsupcupcakecrafts.com. I sold 2 of those, and they're $3.50 a piece. I sold 1 Meowdy Cowboy Cat sticker at $3.50, a Mushroom Cap Frog Toad sticker at $3.50. So those were all the stickers that I sold. The barcode system on my Shopify was fantastic. You know, again, I spent so much time this week adding stickers and labels and barcodes to everything. I've never had that before. I did not have a separate scanner because you can watch my last video, but I had some like logistics issues with the scanners that I did end up getting. And the new one that I selected is coming today, of course. So I wasn't able to use a scanner. So I use a camera on my iPad, and my iPad's on like a stand. So I can like, you know, type everything in and whatever. But people would hand me an item and I'd go to scan it and they thought I was like handing it back to them. And so there were probably 4 instances where people were like trying to take the item. I was like, oh no, I'm scanning it. And they like wouldn't hear me and they'd still be trying to take it. I was like, no, I'm scanning it. It was really awkward. So sorry if you were one of those people. But it was pretty funny. Okay, then I sold 1 pack of stitch markers, a pair for $5 of the Sit Sprite and My Neighbor Totoro little stitch markers. I sold 1 cupcake eye installer. That usually gets a lot of questions from people at the market because I do have like a sign saying this is for crocheters or whatever, and like you can scan the QR code to watch the video of what it is and how to use it. But I did at this market have a couple people that were like, what is this? And I had to explain, like, this is how you put in these eyes. Oh, okay. So I sold 1 of those. I sold, I think 7 drink sleeves, assorted design. So that could be anything from coffee. I know one was a roomy one from K-Pop Demon Hunters. So I sold 7 assorted drink sleeves. I sold 3 of the Lucky Cat drink sleeves and 1 Keep It 100 Taylor Swift inspired drink sleeve. So 11 drink sleeves at $7 a pop. And 3 of those had discounts on them of the buy 2, save $2. I sold 2 mushroom pops. That's the cable and canvas fidget pop at $7 a piece, and 3 emotional support nuggets at $10 a piece. So the nuggets were definitely the favorite of the emotional support items, though I did also sell 2 pineapples at $10. I swear I sold 1 pickle, but I don't see it on here. I know I sold a pickle. I don't know if that just did not make... I don't know. I sold a pickle, but it's not on here, so it should be. But 2 pineapples, 1 pickle, and those were $10 a piece. I know that there's some people out there that are going to be like, what? I sold 8 chickens. Chickens, they were kind of like, I had placed them in a basket next to where the checkout stand was, just because of the way my booth was set up. And I normally have the basket upright and the chickens kind of stacked, but I just like threw the chickens in this basket and had it laying down. And my husband actually was like, do you want it like standing like you normally do? I was like, no, we're just throwing chickens in the basket. I don't want to deal with it. I would constantly hear people exclaim chickens and like rush over to the chicken basket. Chickens do so well for me. It's just the Mabel chicken pattern, and I do use Bernat blanket yarn for that. And I like to use the different variegated colors. I try to do colors that are more like chicken-like. Aside from, I usually have 2 or 3 of the Stardew Valley blue chickens. But yeah, chickens do fantastic for me. And I do those for $12 each. I also brought chicks and eggs, and I had raised the price from $10 to $12, which I have flip-flopped on that price throughout the last year. And when they're $10, they really do fly off the shelf, but they take so much time that I just can't justify doing them at $10. I don't know if other people have like a better system of doing them, but there's so many little components to it that I appreciate that people want them at $10, but like I would rather have them at 12 and move a little slower. So I just had 3 of them and none of them sold, but I sold a ton of chickens at $12 a piece, and I enjoy making the chickens. It's kind of something I can just batch make, the bodies in all the different colors, and I don't have to use a ton of yarn when I do it. So it's just like I can kind of churn through when I'm watching TV or YouTube. So I really enjoy making the chickens, and I love that people love them. So yeah, one person bought 2, but aside from that, I sold a lot of chickens. I sold 1 fidget axolotl, again, cable and canvas. My little takeout boxes, I sold 3 bao, 2 dumpling, and 2 fortune cookies. And that was kind of how I expected it would go, honestly. The bao is definitely the most popular and people would talk about the most. But yeah, I thought all of those were cute. I didn't sell any of the sushi. I only had 1 sushi. But I didn't have time to make more sushi, and they do take more time, but I charge $12 across the board for those, so it's fine. I will still bring them to other markets because I do think they're cute, and every time I bring keychains or bag charms in those without the little boxes, those are kind of the first to go. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to transform it into a different iteration with the little takeout box, and that people really got excited when they saw them. I sold the 1 swing chicken that I had and 3 swing ducks. One of those was a mallard, the other 2 were yellow ducks, a swing Kirby, 2 swing lanterns, and 1 swing pigeon. So my swing buddies definitely took a hit at this market, which in a good way. 2 swirly snakes. Snakes were by the chickens, and again, I would hear people talking about them, and they got really excited about the snakes. One person got it for her boyfriend, and she was like telling me the story about how she saw it and she just knew she had to get it for him. And so I was like, did you want a little adoption box for it? Because I used to do snakes in adoption boxes. She was like, absolutely yes. I said, I can give you an adoption certificate too. And she was like, yes to all of that. So she was very excited. And then mystery boxes. So mystery boxes, again, if you've been here before, my most recent video I talk about, I kind of changed over my mystery boxes. I previously did them for $10 and I did smaller little plushies in them. But this year I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted it to be a theme. And so I did chicks in animal hats. And the pattern I'm using for those comes out the exact size of the box. So they're bigger plushie. They take a little bit more time as a result, but it's like a cohesive kind of collection of chicks in hats. And I had to raise the price to $14 to make up for the size of the plushie, the time it takes, and so on. And I came with 15 mystery boxes. I have 5 designs, so I made 3 of each design. And I was kind of worried because I wasn't sure how people would be receptive to a price point over $10 for a mystery box. And I do put a picture out, like I made a new sign that had a picture and it showed like, here are the 5 items that are spread amongst these boxes. And I sold 7 mystery boxes at $14 each. So they were definitely a hit. I had at least one person come back and buy, no, I think I had 2 people come back and buy them again. Like they bought one and then they came back to get another. And I do put the number on the bottom of the box of 1 through 5, just so that like if someone goes to buy another one, they can confirm like, okay, I had number 3 the first time. I don't want number 3 again. But I don't keep track. At some point it will be memorized, but I do not keep track of what each number means. So, you know, I'm not like giving any clues as to what's in it because I don't know. So yeah, mystery boxes at $14 were a hit. And I think that was actually my best selling item in terms of dollars, aside from the drink sleeves, which was in terms of quantity. And then of course chickens. But yeah, mystery boxes did great. And looking at what was left behind afterwards, like the remaining ones, it did seem like I sold a good spread of them. So I didn't sell out of any one number in particular. So yeah, I'll definitely be replenishing those and keeping up with that. That was one of the items when I did my 2025 recap that I was shocked had ranked so high because I didn't feel like I leaned into it that much. And as a result, I didn't bring them to every market. And this time I feel like I need to bring them to every market because they were definitely a hit. And I think the way I had them displayed helped too. So mystery boxes did great. I then had 2 Notion kits that I sold. One was a Yarned and Dangerous in the dark blue, and then the other one was one of my new design, which is the Hooked on Granny Hobbies or Grandma Hobbies with a yarn ball. So those sold at $14 each. I sold 1 adoption cat and 1 adoption rat. I sold 2 of my polymer clay kits. So that's what I was mentioning was the new item that I've just added to my shop. They're $15 a piece, which I think that price point is fantastic. And you can make a little frog or capybara. It's a wizard frog or a cute little capybara. And I honestly got them because I have wanted to play with polymer clay, but I do not need another hobby. And generally when I do a hobby, I go all in and buy all of the supplies to make every possible combination I can in my head. And I figured if I got a kit that had exactly what I needed to make a couple of figures, then I can give it a try and decide if I like it or not and do with that as I will. But yeah, so I picked those 2 designs because I really like them and people seem to like them as well. I sold 1 of each. I only brought 2 of each. And there was a couple of points where I saw people like holding one of the other ones, like they were debating whether or not to get it. But yeah, I sold 1 of each kit and I was very happy with that because it doesn't take up a ton of space. I just put them in a little basket on my table. I sold 2 bathhouse no faces. They're just little itty bitty plushies that have a little bathtub and no face from Studio Ghibli. Sorry, my cat is doing something. What are you doing? He's like debating if he wanted to go into his usual spot, but now he's going into a bucket. Okay. I sold 2 frog wizards. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised that the frog characters in general did not sell as much as they typically do, but I don't think they had like a prime billing spot. They were on kind of a not eye level shelf. But yeah, I sold the 2 wizards that I had at $16 a piece. So the other frog creatures or costumes did not sell. I had the cowboy frog, strawberry, bee, and I think that's it. I sold 1 of each of my walking yarn spinners. I threw those in as a last minute addition. They're $16 each. It's just like a flower shaped yarn spinner that has like a wristlet and you can, you know, crochet or knit or whatever while standing, sitting, and take it on the go. So I had one person ask me what it was. They thought it was a stand to hold Labubus. And I was like, could be, but no. But aside from that, it was like people knew what they were. And the label said what it was, but if you don't crochet or knit or use yarn like that, you probably wouldn't know. So I sold 1 of each, and someone actually asked if I had another blue one, which is funny because pink is the one that is far more popular on my website. I had only brought 1 blue one for this. So yeah, I am actually printing more blue ones as we speak because I had made a bunch of pink since they sell so well online. And I sold 2 of my small dragons. That's the free pattern by Amateur Hour. And I just do those in fun random variations with my painted safety eyes in 20 millimeters and kind of honestly just pick an eye and then find yarn that I like that goes with the eyes. And that's how I decide which ones to make. So those are $17 each. I sold 1 Odd Buddy. That is the Oddish plushie pattern that I just made for the first time. I swear I got it as a free pattern. I was not able to find it online on the pattern designers page. And then it was on their Etsy, but they took it down. So I'm guessing because it's like a character, they probably had to pull it. So I will share the designer's name. I don't know if it will be on Etsy or Coffee, but you can try to look for it. But like the link I have doesn't work at the last time I checked because it was pulled down. But I sold that for $18. I sold 1 penguin for $18. That was just an item I made during the holidays, and penguins have done well. Hello, sir. Are you coming over here? Come on in. Come here. Got. We have a visitor. Does he look unimpressed? Because I feel like he's unimpressed. All right, don't mind him. I sold 2 of my bitty demogorgons, and those were $20 a piece. Like kids are the ones that get the most excited about that at this point, which is pretty funny because when I first started bringing them to markets last spring, it was always like adults would be like, it's a demogorgon. And now it's kids are like, demogorgons. So 2 little demogorgons, 1 small horse, which is the free pattern from Atomic Crochets. It's a plushie, I made it for that. And that actually sold to Tracy at Chester and Pearl. They came by to check out the market, Tracy and her mom. I love them so much, and it was so fun seeing them at the market. I really get excited when I see other vendors like in the wild at markets, but not at markets that they're vending. And on that note too, Baked by Bowerman showed up, and I was excited to see her. I love her stuff, and I'm always giving my husband a hard time to go to her booth first thing at markets because they sell out so fast. And I actually had seen that she was thinking about coming to the market, like on one of her stories, and I almost messaged her the night before to be like, can you bring some bread? Because I knew she's going to be at other markets that morning. But then I was like, I don't want to bother her with that. So when I saw her, I was like, I almost messaged you to bring bread. She has amazing sourdough. So anyways, very excited to see her. I'm trying to think of anyone else. One of the other market organizers that I did that market in a bar last year, she was there, and I did a market with her previously. Like that's how we met. So it was fun seeing her. I was actually on the way out to like run and grab my food order because my little buzzer started going crazy. So we didn't get to talk, but it was nice to see her. And yeah, just little like appearances of seeing people that I knew was really fun. And yeah, just I love that stuff. I sold 3 sushi cats with trays. I actually only had 2 of them at the market, but I brought an extra tray just in case I had time to make more. And when I was setting up, one of the market organizers that actually wasn't supposed to be at this event, like it's not her event that she mans, but she came to help like direct traffic and everything. So I see her all the time at other markets and stuff. So she came by while I was setting up and was like, I need that sushi cat. And I was like, I actually brought stuff to make one more so I can make one for you while I'm here. She was like, I'm going to hold you to that. So she came back at the end of the day and picked up a sushi cat. So I made a sushi cat throughout the day, as you probably saw in the footage, and sold 3 of those. I think that those are going to be a hit this year. They were popular last year, but adding the little tray to it just took it to that next level. I sell them for $20 a piece. And I think that's a great price with the cat like comes out a good size and the tray is just adorable. So then I sold one derpy tiger small, the last one I had. I had brought stuff to make a second one because that was one where my friend Karina at Honey Press stationery and everything was going to be vending, and she'd asked me if I could make one for each of her boys. And when the market had just started, I had come and talked to her and said, like, I didn't make the second one, but I can make it during the market, you know, like I'll work on that. And she was like, if they need to share one, I was like, no, I can get it done. Well, when the market started, there were two little boys that came into my booth and they were spitting images of her. So I was like, I bet that's her kids. And one of them said, you have the derpy tiger, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And the other one said, Demogorgons. So I was like, I bet he might like the Demogorgon instead. So they came back with her husband, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. The elder one picked the Demogorgon and the younger one picked the derpy tiger. So I did not have to make a second derpy tiger, and they both seem overjoyed with their selections. And honestly, her youngest got so excited about derpy tiger. Like, I love moments like that. It was so sweet. Okay, then I sold one dragon egg. I made little dragons. It's the Dr. Choco little bitty dragon design, and I made small 3D printed dragon eggs, and I had two of them. I was originally going to do them as mystery dragons, but I decided not to put the brain power into that and just like put them out with tags and people could pick their dragon. So one little girl had her heart set on one of the large will dragons that I have for $65, I think. And everyone in her family was trying to convince her to find something smaller. And she was like, I want that dragon. And then like her uncle or friend or family friend or whatever was totally like, your dad's going to buy you that dragon. I was like, oh my God, this girl might actually get that dragon. But she did pick the dragon with the egg. It was just really cute. They were at the booth several times, and each time they came, she left her hot pink gloves there. And they had been standing at this one table the first time, and they left, and I was talking to someone, and I looked and I see these gloves. I'm like, I imagine that's theirs. And they just moved over to the next booth. So I went and brought them over, and they were like, that's her gloves. And then later when they came over again to like pick something out and they checked out whatever, I was talking to someone, and the dad came back and he was like, did she leave her gloves here? And I turned and looked. I was like, yes, she did. So she was determined to leave those gloves. But thankfully found them each time. And then I sold one of my Lucky Cats and my Lucky Cat Boba. Both of those I sold for $22 each. I sold one pigeon. This was the pigeon I did as part of a pattern test recently. That was $22. I sold William the Worm and Ludo. So we're going out of order here because Ludo was the highest priced item that I sold, and Ludo was $50. And that is the pattern mod from Motu Designs of their abominable snowman. And so I made the character Ludo from Labyrinth, and then I made William the Worm also from Labyrinth. I have the other William the Worm, but I still have not brushed out his hair, and I actually did get roving yarn or wool, so I need to like just swap it because I do not want to brush this. But yes, this couple came in and she made a beeline to the shelf. I didn't even like look to see what she was going for because I like to let people shop in peace. And then she just walked up to the counter and was holding both of them. And I was like, oh, you're getting both of those? And so then we had like a big Labyrinth discussion, and it was fun. But William the Worm was $25 and Ludo was $50. So I think that was my largest sale of the day. But it was also my most exciting, honestly, because they were just so excited about them. I sold one octopus knitting embroidery kit. Again, it's on my online shop. That was $30. And it was just a really cute embroidery kit of an octopus with like knitting needles and yarn and everything. So very excited. One of those sold. I sold the horse plushie that I made. It's like the standing horse. that was part of one of my recent pattern roundup videos that I made. And I sold my horse stuffy. That was like almost a lovey, but it did have plush in the body. And the person that bought it was just so excited, like gushing over it and saying it was the most perfect little horse. So that was just really nice to hear. And just, again, I love when people just get really excited about the items. So that was $35. I sold the ram that was in the UNC Chapel Hill colors, but I think that the kid and the parent didn't care or know. She just really wanted this ram. And so that sold for $35. I sold the black splooting cat, the Avalon crochet pattern, and a little girl picked that out. It was $42. She was so excited about it. Like, they did a whole sweep of the booth to make sure this is the one she wanted. And then the mom asked, like, does it have a name? And I said, well, I did the colors inspired by the cat Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. And the little girl was like, it's Gigi. So they were very excited about that. I sold my fire horse. That was another person who was walking by, saw it, and was like, I have to get this. So that was the Una the Unicorn pattern from Snuggle Beans Crochet, and I made it in fire horse colors. So that was $45, and I actually had someone come by later that saw the picture on my Instagram where I advertised. I did like the flyer of the event, but I swapped a picture of the mass-produced crochet vendor with my fire horse. And she was like, I didn't realize I was going to like miss out on items by not coming first thing. And I said, oh yeah, like that went really fast. And she's like, can I order one? So she's going to come back to my market at the same location at the end of the month. And yeah, she's very excited to get the fire horse, and I'm excited to make another one. And then I sold Una the Unicorn, which I had a purple Una the Unicorn in her natural pattern state. So both of those sold for $45 a piece. I didn't actually collect any money for the fire horse custom yet because I believe the person will be there, and I was probably going to make one again anyways because I love it. So that is the recap of the market. Let's get into the actual like end totals of how it did. So for this market, I had 67 orders or transactions, 67 transactions at this event, which is fantastic. I feel like my transaction numbers have been more in the 50s recently. I had a lot of transactions taking place yesterday. It felt generally like a steady stream throughout. The only time that there was really a lull was when the dragon dancers and drums and everything were going on, and they actually eventually like came back into the market, and then all the people came in with them. So that brought like another surge of people. And I made $1,564 in sales, taking out fees and taxes and all that fun stuff. The gross sales was $1,462. So a very good market day. I'm very satisfied with those numbers. I just wanted to come back on here really quick and share a few more details about the financial breakdown from the market. I've had some time to play with Shopify in the reporting, and I'm very pleased to see how many options I can kind of slice and dice the information from this last market. So I believe I mentioned that there were 68 sales, 67 unique transactions. One of those was a repeat buyer coming back. The booth fee for this event was $165, which is high for this area, but is pretty standard for this event organizer. And I think you get what you pay for. They put together a fantastic event every time. They have a huge following and social media presence. So I'm happy to vend with them and accept that that is the fee that comes with vending with them. That being said, I did not sign up for any of the other extra features that you can get with their market. Sometimes they will charge extra if you want a guaranteed corner space, if you want certain marketing packages of being posted on Instagram or email or things like that. I just went with the flat 165 this time. So that's what the fee was that I paid. And I think there was a $5 application fee that I paid back when I applied to the market. So I honestly don't even like factor that into my number breakdowns when I'm doing these things. So into the specific sales for the event, the average sale was $22. Of my sales, the amount done in card was $1,360, and that has tax included in that price. Cash, it was $132, and I absorbed the tax from cash. So I still run it through Shopify. I just tell people the amount that it is before tax, and I pay the tax myself directly. So $132 was paid in cash, $9.62 tax that I will be paying directly. So last but not least of the sales, and again, I went through the line by line details of this, but I just wanted to call out the top 3 items in terms of sales dollars, but also volume in these cases. The mystery boxes made up my number 1 item at $105 in sales. So that's $14 a piece for those mystery boxes. Chickens was $102. And last but not least was the sushi cat at $60. So I only had 3 of them, again, one of which I made during the market. I think that I'm going to try and go into future markets with 3 of them each time if I can. It's another thing I've added to my list of items that I will be preparing for markets, but I do think that the novelty of the plush with the little sushi tray is just really cute. It's fun to make, and I think it's going to be a popular and unique item that I am providing. So back to the regular programming. Last year, this market was over $2,000 for me. It was $2,200. But I was only crocheter last year. And I think that with that and the current state of the economy and the weather, because I do think that probably deterred some people from going out, it just wasn't as big of a market day, but it was still a fantastic market day for me. And I am very happy with those numbers. And I'm honestly very happy with like the pressure that it takes off of me, because I was just so anxious about this market. Again, the videos I had of preparing for this leading up, I just felt like I had so much going on between the market prep, the shop launch, and then my like changes with my personal day job and all of that. It just was a very intense couple of months. So yeah, I'm just really happy with it. It was such a fun event, and I had some amazing experiences with the other vendors. I did some fun shopping. I actually had someone come in and like bring me, they I guess tried to vend at the market but applied too late, but they brought me like some little custom magnets that they had made of my logo. So that was so sweet. They are the Minivan's Crafty Studio. I'll put the name on the screen. But yeah, that was really fun. And I got some macaroons from a woman that was making them across the way. And then I got a couple other items. Let me actually go get them to share. Okay, from Honey Press, this is Karina, and I pretty much have to shop from her booth every time she's at an event with me, because she has all of the most amazing stationery, Japanese stickers, things like that. I got this little Totoro notebook, and it's line ruled with dots, but it also has the little date. I thought this could be really good for a new market summary kind of journal for, you know, just writing some of my thoughts in the overview of like how each market goes. So that was fun. And then I got some new stickers. This is like a girl at home activities. Rice is life, because yeah. And then I got this Hawaiian sticker pack because we are going to Hawaii in a couple months, and I'm very excited for that little getaway. And then finally, a Lunar New Year sticker pack. So I got that from Karina, which it was very fun to see her there. I always enjoy markets with her. And then the vendor next to me was a glass art vendor. And I got this Soot Sprite wind charm. There's tissue in it. It normally would not have that. But I love anything with soot sprites. So I was so excited when I saw that. But that is actually not what drew me into her booth in the first place, aside from the fact that she was right next to me. So I was hearing it / staring at it all day. But she had assorted designs of cats. So this was a cat wind charm, and I had to get it in black for my black cat because he is a very chatty, noisy cat, and it made sense to get a wind charm in his design. She did have like all sorts of different cats, and she said she actually makes her cat designs based on friends' cats and her cat. But this is her vendor information. So highly recommend checking her out. She does have an Etsy shop. And I got those 2 items from her. I thought her prices were very reasonable. And she had super cute designs. I did try to do a little bit more shopping at the event. I actually got a cookie from another vendor. They had ube cookies, and I love ube. But I ate it, so I cannot show the cookie to you. But yeah, that is what I got at the event. I tried to do some more shopping, but it was just pretty steady stream of customers throughout the day. So I unfortunately wasn't able to. But yeah, I'm thrilled with this event. I cannot wait to go to it again next year. Maybe I will be better prepared mentally to go into it. Just one, not having such high expectations and pressure on myself, but also, you know, like at that point it'll have been another year in business and doing this. And I think that the more I do this, the more my confidence grows, and understanding like what I can do for these markets to be successful at them in my eyes, and like having the items I think that I'm proud to have. So it was a fantastic market. I loved the experience. I loved all the food. Oh my gosh, I had so much good food. They had food trucks outside, and I was smelling them the entire time I was indoors. So when my husband came with my kids at one point, I was like, I'm gonna go and just get some lunch. And I did, and it was lunch and dinner because I was able to bring it home. Yeah. All right, this was a long recap, but I hope that you found this helpful and enjoyable. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that if you like this, you will hit that like button and subscribe. Hitting that little bell notification will let you know when I have new videos up, so that you can follow along with my crochet journey. I love to do videos like this, just chatting about crochet and the things that work for me, the things that don't, things I learned from other makers and crocheters and pattern designers. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will be back soon with more market prep updates and then getting ready for my big January book fair market. All right, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.